All right, I done hit up the gym this morning and I've got some time before I need to start working. So let's put some doors on the cabinet. Okay, so yesterday I came out for just a few minutes after work because it was hot, and I went ahead and put the trim on the doors. Now normally you would do maybe like this whole piece would be the 3/4, and then you put like 1/4 inch in the center, but I kind of like a pretty hardy door, so this is actually 3/4 with 1/4 inch trim on the front of it. So it's a fake shaker style door, but it works. So now I need to line up and put my, just got these today from Amishmon. These are my hinges for the doors, so I'm gonna prep for that. So one thing I wanna kind of talk about is depending on the type of doors that you're gonna do, will depend on the type of hinge that you get. So I'm doing full overlay doors, which essentially means that, I'm just gonna use this little scrap to show you, but let's pretend this is the door. Here's the edge of my cabinet, right? My cabinet is not gonna be inset inside the box opening. It's actually gonna be overlay. So when you are looking for hinges, make sure you get ones that are intended to be overlay hinges. Otherwise, it'll potentially kind of mess you up and you'll end up having to get new hinges. Okay, so the standard is to put your hinge 3.5 inches from the top and bottom of your door. So what I have is essentially this little ruler majiggy, and I never call things by their right name, by the way, that's just what it is. So I have it marked at 3.5, see? So then what I can do is go like this, mark that, and that's gonna be 3.5 inches. So I'll do that on both ends. And that is going to be the center of essentially this piece. So once it's in there, it's gonna sit exactly right there. Okay? Okay, so I have this cool jig that I got from Craig that helps you to drill these holes for the cup to sit in. And it's got these little adjustments on it right here, which is what determines how far from the edge the hole is. So, and depending on your instructions, so this particular one says it wants 1/8 an inch from the edge of the edge of the cabinet door. So, which I don't think you're gonna be able to see this on here, but up here at the top, it's got a little guide and it says 1/8 of an inch is the 3 right here. So that's why I have it set to 3 and 3. So now when I put this on here, and I'll end up centering it, it's gonna be 1/8 of an inch from the edge, which is what we want. Otherwise your hinge is not gonna sit correctly. So let me prep and get that ready. Okay, so what you essentially do is you take this, I like to go ahead and put my Forstner bit in there, kind of seat it in the spot, right? And then depending on the depth of the cup that it wants, mine wants 1/2 an inch, which it's already set up for that. This sort of retaining ring that's on here, you'll tighten that down with the little Allen wrench they give you, and it makes sure that it doesn't go any deeper than 1/2 an inch. So attach your drill to that, and then we're just gonna drill out the holes. Bear with me while I line this up. Again, it's not an exact science. If it's off a little bit, it's really like not a big deal, but you also have a little ruler guide on the edge here, and I can also make sure that it's sitting at 3.5. Actually, I do want to clamp this down because it's gonna try to move. Sometimes I forget to clamp. It just helps so things don't move. All right, set the edge guide there. I'm flush up against this side. I should be ready to go. I'll hold that firmly. probably should have just clamped this too, but let's just... Yeah, I should have clamped that. That was dumb. Not like I totally haven't done this before, because I have. Oh crap. Uh-oh, let me fix. Okay, now that I fixed it. Again, it's a good idea to clamp stuff down, because especially with like powerful drills, big tools, things are gonna move around and it could mess up your workpiece. I literally should have done that at the beginning, but I was excited to show you how I do this. So anyway, I'm gonna continue cutting this until the sort of stop ring hits the plastic. And that's it. All right, let me loosen it. Take this off. Just set that to the side. Clear this out. And now I've got a perfect cup hole, like a so. And then what you want to do, this also has on here, there's two little teeny holes, one on each side, like right there and right there, which are your sort of screw guide holes, these ones right here. So I will come back and do those here in a minute. I just rather get the big part done first. So I'll go ahead and do the other side and I'll show you when it's done. So the really nice thing about using something like this Kreg hinge jig is that it really lines everything up for you and it helps you to just make the job easier. Could you do it without it? Sure, you could, but you might drill too far, make your hole too deep, not put it in the right spot, and then just create frustration for yourself. So these are really not expensive and they're super easy to use, and I have used it on probably 5 different projects now, and it has come in handy every single time. The Forstner bit that it comes with works really great, and I haven't had any issues. I don't need to replace it yet. So now I'm just going to drill the little support screw holes using the jig, and then we'll be ready to mount the doors. All right, I'll do the other ones and then we'll mount it. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do this super close-up shot here. Hopefully it's not annoying. But essentially, if you can see that, the holes totally line up really nicely. So now I just gotta open up my screws here. And I need a bit, and I don't have one. Helps if you actually have your bit in your screwdriver. All right, center it, go for it. That part's done. Okay, let's do the other one. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, this the Kreg jig just really makes it so much easier. So you're not wasting time doing, you know, reinventing the wheel essentially, is what it kind of feels like. The first time I tried to do this without it, it was like I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I was gonna have to go get a special bit, and it just made it so much easier. So this part's done. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other hinges on the other doors, and then we'll go ahead and mount this on the cabinet base. Okay, ignore the hair. I'm gonna just chop that out. I have learned from putting the first two doors on that it's actually easier to keep the cabinet box side attached to the door hinge, which I think I did know that, but it's been a while since I put doors on. So I'm gonna show you how to put this on. Okay, so what I did, you can see down there, I've got a couple of blocks of wood on the ground up to the level that I want the door to sit. If you're trying to do this and just like hold the door in place and other hand screw it, like, trust me, from experience, this like doesn't go well. So it's easier to have something for the door to kind of sit on. And if you kind of know the approximate spot that you want it to sit, you can go ahead and use that essentially as just a little platform to hold the door while you screw it in. You can adjust the adjustment, the height adjustment, the depth adjustment in the cabinet, and then the side to side a little bit with the hinge. But that being said, you want it to be as close as you can get it the first time, because if it's not close enough and you need to adjust it, you may not have enough adjustment with the stuff on the hinge itself to really dial it in perfectly, and you might have to move the placement. So this is how I do it. But essentially, on the very edge of this thing, which I'm seeing now that this other drawer is actually gonna get in the way. Dang it. So let me take this drawer out. Okay, I took the drawer out. I already knew that I was gonna need to shave off just a tiny bit on the edge of that drawer. And again, little fine adjustments, it's just the name of the game. That's just what's gonna happen. So if you get these little hooks on this particular hinge that I got, it's got these little tiny hooks on the edge that kind of sit right up against the edge of the cabinet. Once you get that in place, you just kind of hold it. I like to put my screw up just at the top a little bit, because if I need to make this sit a little bit higher for my gap at the top to look better under my drawers, it makes it easier to do that. Okay, just gotta get the last two screws in. And some people say, oh, you know, you should put the screws in by hand. Yeah, that's true, because an impact gun, you definitely can over tighten it or strip it out, especially in plywood. But I've done this so many times, I don't know, I'm pretty good at knowing what it sounds like when it's reached the point, and I don't go ham on it, just you know. I like, you know, I'm getting good at using this thing. So essentially that's the drawer, or the door. And let's see how she closes. Probably would help if I took the took this out. There we go. Okay, let's test it now. These are supposed to be soft close. Look at that. Ta-da! This door is going to be a little different, so I'm not going to put that on yet, because that's going to actually have like a hole at the bottom. Like it's going to have two doors. Essentially a door right here, and then a different door that's going to be for the doggy kennel entrance. But for now, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now I want to go ahead and put the drawer faces on that I haven't already done. I did two yesterday just for shits and giggles. But I've got two others I can go ahead and do, so I'll show you how I do that. Okay, another unblatant use of Craig products, but again, this shit works, so I'm gonna use what works. But these are drawer face, you know, placement jig. I don't think that's what they call it, but it's what it's used for. So this is what we do. This one's the left side, so you put this on your drawer, and then you line up this part here with sort of the face of the box, the drawer box, and you tighten this part down. And shout out to Craig, because, you know, their stuff is pretty ingenious. It does make it really easy to do this. There's still some minor adjustments that you have to do, but it really does help. This is the right side. Go ahead and put this on. And then let me go drop the drawer face. I've got my drawer face. I am going to be doing some other stuff to this. I'm going to put trim on it like I have for the doors, but I can go ahead and put this in place and get it screwed in. so I know where it's gonna go. Essentially, you slide it into this front part, okay, and this part's not exact just yet. I know approximately where I want it, but I am gonna bust out the tape measure to make sure that it's right. But to hold it in place, you just tighten these front knobs, and this is what it looks like. So it's holding it in for you here. Oops, there we go. It's holding that in. It's holding it to the drawer here. And now I can use my tape measure to measure, you know, this distance, the distance at the top, so that it'll be the same all the way across, which is what you want, you know. Visually, at least my eye, I know a lot of people, you want the tops of your drawers to be all the same. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let me bust out my tape measure. Okay, so I went ahead and used my tape measure because I know that I want 7/8 on each side, and I want 1 3/8 from the back to the edge of the top of the drawer. And then I've got my trusty level, says that it's level, so we can go ahead and put a couple screws in. I am in love with pocket hole screws, so I'm just gonna use those because it pulls it nice and tight and it works. Where is my drill? It is. So the nice part, again, with the useful little Craig thingy, is it holds it in place for you. So you can just come in here with a screw, put it in. It's not going nowhere. I think that's a favorite thing woodworkers like to say. That ain't going nowhere. There we go. And now you can just take this off. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. And let's show you what it looks like. All right, got it on. Oop. There we go. Nice soft close. These are gonna have handles later, but that looks pretty good. Doesn't quite line up with the door on the left side, but that's okay. Because again, I'm gonna make some adjustments with the placement of the doors to close this gap a bit, because that's actually quite a big gap. So part of the adjustments on the hinges will allow you to kind of move it this way and that way, or in and out. If you want to adjust the height, you actually have to take the screws out and kind of pull it up. But I like the height, it looks good. All right, moving on.